Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I am your co-host Cicely.
And your host Hayden.
And today we're talking about Violent Night. It came out in 2022. It's rated R. It's an hour and 52 minutes. And it's rated 7.1 stars on IMDb. When a group of mercenaries attack the estate of a wealthy family, Santa Claus must step in to save the day and Christmas.
So before we start saying anything, we'll give the people that actually want to watch it without spoilers 5 seconds. So we'll just sit here and wait 5 seconds.
What, to leave?
Yeah.
Alright guys, get going. Get!
Okay, I think that's long enough for them to get out of here. I really did like this movie a lot.
Oh yeah, so did I.
Obviously nothing was perfect. It obviously had a lower budget than something like a Marvel movie or something, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like bad or anything. It was actually very
really good.
The effects were very good and everything.
I thought so too.
We'll just start right off the bat. Do you have anything you want to talk about specifically?
No, you go ahead. Start it off. Other than I really enjoyed it.
I like the entire movie, but I want to talk about some of the scenes specifically. I feel like the opening was hilarious, where Santa's getting drunk in a bar and he's saying how this is going to be his last Christmas, and he goes through the emergency exit to the roof and takes off in his sleigh, right? And then he vomits on the woman's head over the side. I feel like that was a very good way for this movie to open.
Also very gross.
It was disgusting. Yeah.
I wanted to throw up myself,
but it was hilarious to where it shows you that this movie's not to be taken too seriously.
Yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
it's not like it was meant to be a serious and totally honest movie or anything like that. It was just right off the bat we were like, you're gonna laugh, this is gonna be funny, and this is gonna be gross.
Funny and gross.
Funny and gross.
Very gory movie.
Very gory movie, yeah. I want to talk about Al, the gate guy.
Yeah.
He seemed like a really nice dude.
He did.
At this point in the movie.
He did.
I was like, oh, this dude's awesome.
I like this guy.
He was really nice. He was friends with the family and the little girl and everything. I really liked him as a character. I think that their house looked really nice. Obviously, they were rich, so...
It was gigantic.
It was enormous. Like, we'll talk more about it later on in the episode, but there's some certain scenes where they're like shooting guns in the house and no one hears it. Like, imagine the size of this house.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, I guess they had suppressors, but
huge.
It's not a real life suppressor isn't making the gun completely silent, and it's definitely not silent in the movie. They did that accurate to its real life counterpart, but imagine the size of a house that you can't hear gunshots in the rest of the house.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The house looked really nice though.
It was very like dark. It had like a dark aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I really liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't like
cheery and bright.
Cheery, Christmassy and bright. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was kind of like it wasn't your normal rich person trying to flaunt all their money and their Christmas decorations type of Christmas. It was more of like you said, a dark aesthetic to it.
But I liked it. It was
I really liked the house. But I did not like the family. I think the entire family was awful.
I mean, the
sister was a bitch.
She was awful.
She was an awful person.
From the first word she spoke.
She was terrible. She was so mean to everyone.
So mean.
And then the boyfriend was an idiot.
Oh my god. What was he in?
I don't know, but
I've seen him before.
seen him in a bunch of stuff, but
he's usually always like a douchebag, I think.
He's usually a douchebag, yeah. But he was a complete idiot. He was so stupid. They were trying to delve into that kind of like stupid actor role that seems like it was like trying to say that actors aren't very smart or something. Like he definitely nailed he was stupid. He was just completely dumb.
Yep.
Their son, well, the sister's son was annoying as hell. The whole #blessed and all that.
He was an influencer.
He was an influencer, but he was like the epitome. He was like one of the worst versions of an influencer you want to see. I didn't mind the main family, the main character, the main dad, the main mom, and the little girl.
No,
they weren't that
bad.
bad.
Weren't bad. I think they had like a good heart.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they broke up because somebody cheated on somebody. It was like they broke up because he was too involved with his work, which happens. When you don't focus on your family and just the career, sometimes that hurts relationships a little bit. So that was kind of like a grounding factor there. And the mom of the brother and sister, Gertrude, she had that typical rich CEO of a company attitude.
I liked her hair though. She had some nice hair.
I like her as an actress too. She's a very good actress, but
she did a really good job.
She did a good job of being an ass. That's for sure. They were
thought she was
all
kinda
so
funny.
awful.
She was kind of funny, not gonna lie.
I really liked the scene where it shows Santa delivering all the presents around, going to different houses, and I thought
Yeah.
it was really funny that he was just like, video game, video game, and then he found the list that said cash, 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 video games, and he like crumpled it up and threw it in the fire or whatever. I thought it was like a very cool well, in the movie they say that Santa's been Santa for 1100, or no, Santa and Mrs. Claus have been married for 1100 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see this angle of like Santa is kind of tired of being Santa.
He's so tired of his job.
And it was kind of cool to see like him just like not caring.
Yeah, and he was drinking some booze.
Oh yeah, he's
stealing
drunk on
booze
this, stealing booze, cookies, and
Yeah.
dumping milk in the
Yep.
ice bucket.
He didn't like the skim milk.
Yeah, he's like, oh, skim.
That was funny.
David Harbour did such an amazing
Yeah.
job as Santa in this movie. It was
He
so
did a
cool.
really good job.
But I just like those scenes. He was getting so mad that the kids were just only asking for video games and money, and they didn't
Yeah.
care about toys or, you know, the world peace and stuff like that the kids would ask for back then. There was a scene in the bar at the beginning where he said that kids don't care about that stuff anymore. It's just they want to take and never give. And it's kind of true.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very true.
it's not wrong. But I also like in that scene when they give her the walkie-talkie and they tell her like, oh, this is how you talk to Santa and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I really like that scene because
I thought it was cute.
It shows that they were like
yeah.
trying.
The dad like improvised
Yeah,
really
he
well.
improvised the gift, and it was like,
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I like that. And his wife, I loved her.
Yeah,
that
she was-
character. She was awesome.
yeah, she was like bad bitch or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I really liked the I did and I didn't like the quick change in events. You have like this typical family Christmas, and then all of a sudden it just changes into like this big heist movie, like within seconds.
Oh yeah,
You
it's
didn't-
very quick.
If you didn't watch the trailer and you went in, you would have never known that this was like, because you saw him in the trailer,
Uh-huh.
that the bad guy,
Yeah,
he calls himself Scrooge.
Scrooge. Yeah,
If you saw Scrooge in the trailer and he was a bad guy in the trailer, so you kind of knew
something was gonna go wrong.
something was going to go wrong as soon as you seen him. But they did a really good job of not really knowing, or like not really telling you that something bad was about to happen. you
Yeah.
know? It was pretty good.
And he fell asleep in a massaging chair.
Yeah, that was really
Drunk.
funny.
I was like, yeah, I'd fall asleep too. I knew he was gonna fall asleep. As soon
Oh,
as
yeah.
he sat down in that chair, I was like, he's done.
He's done. He loves this thing.
Because me, that put me right to sleep.
Oh yeah, but the part that I didn't really like is the fact that they had to kill Al, the gate guy.
I know.
He was such a good
That
dude.
Santa like ran over and was like, "Ow!" I was
Yeah.
like, "Stop!"
It was, at first I didn't. So watching it, I was like, "How does he know his name?" I'm like, "Oh wait, he's
He's
Santa.
Santa. He
Duh.
knows everybody's name.
He knows everyone's
I'm
name."
pretty sure Al was on the nice list.
Oh,
too.
he had to have been. I wish they would have shown Al on the nice list. Like he opened his list and he was there. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
We know he's on it.
Yeah, we know he's
we know
on
in
it.
our hearts that he's on it.
I want to talk about that first Santa fight where he's fighting the dude after waking up on the chair. He heard the gunshots and everything,
Uh-huh.
and he came looking, and he was hiding behind the tree,
Yeah.
very terribly hiding behind the tree.
I thought he turned into the little statue at first.
I thought so too.
I was like, oh,
You know, that's some Christmas magic
Cool.
right there. He did say he doesn't know how it works, but he was hiding behind the tree when the dude walked in with the gun, and I thought it was really funny that he was like, "Hey," he's like, "Okay, you got me."
Just working. Just
I
doing
just
my
need to
job.
go. I just want to leave. But it was cool to see like this badass side of Santa.
Oh yeah, and like the history.
Yeah, the history, that part's coming up in a minute, but like it was so cool to see like
Him kicking ass.
yeah, like people describe this movie as if Santa was John Wick.
Oh
and
my
that's
god, that's
pretty-
so funny.
that's
I
pretty
didn't know
accurate.
anybody said that, but
Yeah,
it's true.
It is
Yeah.
very true for this movie, and it was very, very cool. This is when I was talking about the gunshots. He was shooting through the roof, which scared the reindeer away, which
Yeah.
I thought was really funny, and he was yelling at him to come back and stuff. But imagine how big that house is. They are upstairs in this far-off room, and he's shooting through the roof, and no one heard a thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge house. I mean, it is big. It takes forever for them to walk, like, into the scene and
And like
stuff.
find each other.
And they have like a
Yeah.
personal vault in the basement. Like that
Yeah.
house has to be huge. But it was just really funny that he was just beating the crap out of this dude, and no one had any idea. And then when they both fall out the window, and you saw them all wrapped up in the lights, and that's what pulls him out the window, right? But whenever he hits the ground and he turns around and that dude's on that icicle,
That's insane.
that was cool. Like the effects of him.
That was nasty.
That was kind of gross seeing
Kinda
the ice.
nasty.
Like, imagine falling on an icicle like that. I mean, it probably could work like that if you thought about it.
Well, when I saw it, I was like, would that really, yeah,
Something-
checks out.
One that big probably would.
Checks out.
I want to talk about Scrooge and singing the song, and he said Violent Night. As I said before in Gremlins, Krampus doesn't count because that's a name.
Okay.
But back in Gremlins, he said the title of the movie, and I love that. He said Violent Night in the song. He was singing
Yeah.
Silent Night, but he changed it to Violent.
It. Yeah,
I love when they do that. And he didn't force it either. Like, he changed
just-
all the
yep.
words of Silent Night. It's not just like he was singing Violent Night. He was actually saying like the
Other
whole
things, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I noticed that. That was pretty cool too.
it wasn't like forced or anything like that. And I love when they do that kind of stuff. I want to talk about that second Santa fight too.
Which one would that be?
He's down in the basement.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He's down in the basement
With
and then,
Snowflake, or what did they
yeah,
call
it was
him?
some, yeah, I think it was Frosty. I think it was.
Yeah.
And he's beating the living crap out of him. And the one part, okay, so he's like slicing him up, cutting him and stuff.
Yeah.
And somehow Santa gets a star in his hand and stabs the dude in the eyeball.
Yeah.
That looked insane.
And then he plugged
Yeah,
it in.
but the stabbing of his eyeball,
Yeah.
like, it looked really good. They did a really good job of getting that to look like the star was actually in his eyeball. It was crazy.
Nasty.
And then, yes, he plugged in the tree, and it shocked him to death and set his head on fire.
That was bonkers.
That was bonkers.
And he just sat there and was like,
getting electrocuted, and his hair set on fire, and his whole head was set on fire. And then this is also the scene where he finds the walkie-talkie to talk to Trudy, and I thought that was really nice that he found. So she like kind of started to believe in Santa again after, you know, everything happening, and it was kind of cool that he had like a lifeline, kind of like a personal inside eye to what was happening in the room, and he could figure out what he was going to do.
That was a cool part of it.
But it was still really good effects and really funny with the star and the setting his head on fire and stuff. That was really cool. And then I want to talk about Trudy asking if Santa was actually real. That scene is meant to like pull at your heartstrings a little bit there, because this was after they were threatening to hurt the dad.
Oh my god.
And the dad saying like, Santa's not real, it's just something we tell you to make you feel better and stuff like that.
I get why he had to do it,
because he was he
was trying to save his own life pretty much.
But I feel bad for her, because now she doesn't know if he is real or if he's fake. And then she's talking to him on the walkie-talkie saying, are you actually real? And the way he explains it to her, like, I know when you were, what was it, like 4 years old, you wrote me a letter and said you wanted this, and I gave it to you, and then the next year you asked for this, and like, I feel like that they did it in a really nice way of like convincing her that he is actually real.
Yeah.
They do it later on in the movie with the bad guys.
Yeah.
They ended up tying him up at one point, and he was like saying Jimmy, Bjorn, and what was her name, Erica or something.
Something like that.
And they were like freaking out because they didn't know how that he knew their real names and like what presents they wanted and stuff. I feel like they did that aspect of this movie extremely like perfect.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They made it really seem, even if he looked like every other mall Santa, that he was the real Santa. I thought that was really, really cool about this movie.
And the scroll.
And his naughty and nice list was very, very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, how he could see who was still alive by the list.
Yeah, who was on the naughty and nice list. I thought it was really cool. I can't remember what they are. I should have like wrote them down on my phone whenever I saw them, but there was like the things that they did to be on that list. So Trudy, he looked up Trudy, and it said nice to animals, listens to her parents and stuff. And then like on the naughty side, I remember Scrooge, Jim, his real name was Jimmy in the movie.
Killed his best friend.
And then a bunch of other stuff that I can't remember.
I can't even remember.
I really like that aspect was added in, because every other movie that has Santa in it, it's like his list is like an actual list or is a big book, like an Elf, that giant book. It was cool to see like a magic aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like he just opens a scroll
And it changes.
and magically it changes to who
Yeah.
they're talking about or whatever. Thought that was really cool, and it tells him what they did to get on that side of the list. I
Yeah.
thought that was
So I
very
think
cool.
it helps him like determine if they can
Yeah,
change or not.
yeah,
Like
and
that Scrooge
obviously,
did a bunch of bad shit. I remember reading
yeah,
it all
and
and I was like,
the leader
oh,
of the kill squad.
oh yeah.
When they showed his name, there was just thing after thing after thing, and I
Yeah.
can't remember what they were, but it was just a whole bunch
yeah,
of crap.
I was like, holy shit. Yeah, you're on the naughty list.
I want to talk about the flashbacks that you were talking about earlier of Santa
Those were
back into like
sweet.
Viking times
He
or
was
whatever.
a warrior.
He was a warrior with the skull crusher,
Yeah, that
and he
was
was telling that
sweet.
story to Trudy and everything. I thought that flashback was so cool.
It was cool. It looked
was-
awesome.
It looked really awesome, but it was like cool to see like David Harbour like being
that.
Santa,
Uh-huh.
quote unquote, but also like the
As a
story
warrior.
as a
Yeah.
warrior, like what he did before he became Saint Nicholas. And it was like he didn't see him fight anybody as that character, but it was really cool to see him like in the Viking gear and holding Skull Crusher and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That was a very cool
It
scene.
was very cool.
He had like blood
They showed
dripping
it
off
like
the hammer.
twice, right?
Yeah, they
I
showed
thought.
he passed out after sewing his cut up,
Yeah, that was nasty too.
and you saw like 3 seconds or so of his face in the helmet, and then it showed the actual flashback of him being a warrior. Yeah, we kind of skipped over that a little bit. That sewing scene was actually really well done too. It actually kind of looked like he was sewing his actual gut back.
Flesh
Yeah,
together.
it was really cool.
Mhm.
And it was very cool to see like the way he improvised. Like he took the thing from the ornament, that
Yep.
hook from the ornament, and then he lit a
Lit a
candle,
candle. I
of
think it was
like
a
an elf or
I thought
something.
it was Santa, yeah.
Maybe, but it was green, so I thought it
Yeah.
might have been an elf. And then he like had wrapping paper stuck
Yeah,
to it, and he
That
tied
was so funny.
with tinsel. It was so cool to see like Santa improvise with all this Christmas stuff. But
And his tattoos.
oh, his tattoos
That
were
was so cool.
those were
When
really
he
cool.
took his shirt off and he
And it had,
a
like,
bunch of
Christmas stuff in it,
yeah,
too.
It was he had a big snowflake on his chest.
Yeah,
I was like,
it
that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
because
really
I mean the
like
Vikings
those.
did have tattoos, and back when he was a Viking, he obviously would have had tattoos. But it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see like the kind of Christmas
Yeah.
stuff that was already in his tattoos before Santa was even like a thought. You
Yeah.
know, so it makes sense why he was chosen to be
Yeah.
Santa. But the booby traps,
Those were
obviously,
awesome.
there's a big influence from Home Alone in this movie.
Yeah.
She watched it the night before Christmas, and she talked about it several times in the movie.
Especially like right in the beginning. That's the first thing they talked about was Home Alone.
Yeah.
And she did
And
the scream.
She said, yeah, she did the famous scream from that movie, but she said she's going to make booby traps like Home Alone, and Santa had no idea what she was talking about. She didn't know what Home Alone was, but
Yeah.
it was very cool to see her versions of it.
Oh yeah. They
She
were
was so
gory.
smart.
Yeah.
Like, the dude saw the nail on the step, but she didn't care because she sawed the step below it in half
Yep.
and fell and shoved the nail straight through his jaw.
That was nasty.
That
I
was
think
gross.
everyone in the theater went like, ooh.
Yeah,
I was
everyone
like,
did.
oh god.
That was gross. So he pulls his chin off the step, and then he falls backwards off the ladder and onto that welcome mat that they saw,
Yep.
full of drill bits, nails, razor blades,
Uh-huh.
right onto his ass cheeks. I couldn't imagine the pain that would have caused.
Yeah.
Now, the next one kind of seemed a little forced, a tiny bit, not much. He pulled the nail out, and he
Uh-huh.
was like looking at it,
Yeah.
and the bowling ball hit the nail straight into his forehead.
Like, why was he looking at it?
Why
like
was
that?
he looking at it? But doesn't
Okay.
matter because the rest of the movie was made up for it.
Yeah.
And then there was the reason the bowling ball hit him in the head. That trap was really cool.
Oh yeah.
She pulled the wire, and the bowling balls were hitting the
Dude,
trampoline
yeah.
and shooting at him and stuff, and hitting her in the knees and making her fall over. That was pretty.
She fell into that sticky shit.
Yeah, and ripped her hair off the back of her
It
head.
ripped like her scalp off.
Yeah.
It, like, kind of scalped her.
And then
That was nasty.
she was shooting the fake balls at her, and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then
Yeah.
shot the dumbbell at her,
Yeah.
and hit her right in the head. Oh, that was pretty good thinking from her. I also like when Santa appeared out of nowhere and
Yeah.
smacked her with a hammer into like the other side of the attic. I thought that was
Uh-huh.
it was a very good time for him to show up.
Perfect timing.
And then it was a really nice, touching moment where she sees Santa for the first time, like face to face, and they hug and
They hug.
and
It was
everything.
cute.
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
I also like the scene where he goes out to the barn and the kill squad shows up and he's trying to figure out like what he's gonna do, and he's like, I don't think I can really do anything. And they're talking and he's like, I want to go see Mrs. Claus again and tell her how much I love her and stuff like that. And his ring falls on the floor
Yeah.
and rolls over to the sledgehammer.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought that was
I was like, oh, a little light bulb above
he
his
actually
head.
found the hammer before the booby trap scene, but I accidentally flipped him. I added it last minute and I accidentally put it in the wrong place. But either way, I liked how he found the hammer. Like, it was kind of like Mrs. Claus was like helping him to find the hammer again.
She was like helping him from a distance.
Yeah. It kind of seemed like that with his wedding ring rolling over.
Knew.
Oh, she did because of that. We'll get to that in a sec. I really like the barn fight when they all come into the barn trying to kill Santa, and he's like beating the living crap out of them, swinging the hammer at their heads and crushing helmets. Yeah, that was cool.
Okay,
and
Santa.
I like that scene where he's like swinging the hammer and stuff too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's not. There's no one in the barn yet, but he's like practicing to get like his mind in the zone. Yeah. I thought that scene was really cool. But he's like busting through these dudes' helmets.
Shit up.
He really screwed him up. So he must have been a very good warrior back in Viking times, which was very cool. I also like the final battle. After he's killed all the mercenaries, he did the booby trap scene, and they're all out. The son stole all the money, and they're outside, and he comes and beats the crap out of all the rest of them, and he's chasing Scrooge and the kill squad leader. And I really like that final battle scene where he's talking to Jimmy saying like Christmas won't die if you believe and stuff like that. I thought that was a really good sentiment and into the final battle, even though he was like a bad guy. But it was really cool to see that fight because Santa's just taking hits left and right. He stabbed him like in the hip and like drug him across the snow with that pickaxe and stabbed him through the hand, and Santa like ripped it through the rest of his hand and stopped and caught the knife, and thought that was a really cool scene. But my favorite part was when he did the magic. He grabbed onto Scrooge and touched his nose and ripped him up the chimney.
That was nasty.
And he got to the top and like he was holding the torso and his head was missing, his legs were missing and stuff like that.
That was a perfect way for him to die.
Yeah, it was. But Santa was loving it from like his Viking past.
Oh yeah.
He was just like, oh yes.
He was like, that's nasty.
It was so cool to see like Santa loving this because he had that past as a Viking and he loved to be it.
His groove back.
Right.
All.
And then the kill squad leader shows up, shoots him a couple times. Shoots Santa in the chest a few times, and the rich mom, shoots the kill squad leader in the head. I thought that was a very
Good for
cool.
her. She came back.
It was cool to see like the mom kind of fight for the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Even though she was kind of cold to him throughout the rest of her life and stuff.
And I think she knew Santa was good. In helping them, not the other people.
Right.
The bad guys.
I like the Santa coming back to life scene because if you know the story of Santa, if you believe in Santa, he's real, right?
Yeah.
You have to believe in him for him to be real and stuff. But like, it was kind of cool to see like Santa's dead, right? But the little Trudy and all the family confess that they believe in Santa, and it brings him back to life. It was
that was cool.
It was a very cool scene to see them all become a family again.
I guess I believe him too.
Yeah, it was cool to see them all come back together as a family and all believe simultaneously in Santa to bring him back to life. And I also thought it was funny that the dad was like, I don't know how I can ever repay you for saving us. And he's like, well, you brought me back to life, so I'd say we're pretty even.
Yeah, we're square.
I thought that was hilarious. It was a very good like ending kind of to that scene.
It was very lighthearted.
Yeah.
After all the killing we saw.
Yeah, exactly. I also thought it was funny when the reindeer finally show up and he was like yelling at them.
Oh, he was kicking snow at them.
Yeah, he's like, you all leave me here to die and all this other stuff. And then he looks in the back. He's like, you went home and got my spare sack. Oh, I can't stay mad at you guys.
I know, that was so funny.
That's like such animal owner and lover scene. Like that perfectly exemplifies someone who owns a pet. It's just like, why did you pee on the floor? And then they like look at you with like those guilty eyes. You're just like, I guess I can't stay mad at you. But
did you ever see that SpongeBob episode or that scene where they lock him up in jail? Do you know what I'm talking about? They're like, all right, you gotta do the crime.
If you do the crime, you do the time or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. And then they shut it, and then immediately they open the cell back up.
Oh, where they steal the lollipops?
Yeah. He's like, all right, that's it, and opens it right up.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, that's how I treat like Honey. She does something bad, I'm like, you're just
bad girl.
So cute.
bad girl.
You're
Oh,
just
but
so
I guess you're not so
cute.
bad. I mean, you were mad at her for a whole 5 minutes when she ran away the other
Yeah.
day, but
Then I got over it.
I just thought that scene was really funny. Like, and Mrs. Claus sent Skull Crusher, and she said, "Oh, you might need this," but of course the reindeer were late.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to, like, Mrs. Claus knew, like,
He needed that.
he needed that and needed her help, and she understands his past and is, you know, okay with the past
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
exactly.
So it was a nice, also another lighthearted ending to the movie.
I thought it was funny when he was just yelling specifically at Blitzen.
Yeah, he's like, I know it was you, Blitzen.
Like-
When he my favorite line from the movie is when the reindeer are on the roof and the reindeer pooped on the roof. He goes, "Oh, who did this? That's so unprofessional."
Literally.
I just thought, who's gonna know that there's reindeer shit on the roof? Who goes up there looking for reindeer shit?
There was a lot of funny little moments that I liked.
This movie was extremely funny and very, very gory and very good. But I also thought, even though the mid-credit scene, there is a mid-credit scene for people who are listening and, you know, want to go see it. Even though it was Bert and he's very annoying, it was actually kind of funny where he goes, "Yeah, you see this dude? Dead as hell."
It was so funny.
It was so funny. So stupid and funny.
It was so funny. I love that.
I think 7.1 for this movie was way too low.
Yeah.
Way too
I
low.
thought it was a really good movie.
It was
I
a
think
very
they did
good
really
movie.
job.
I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. I'd
the
probably give it the same thing, to be honest.
like the CGI for the people, like Scrooge getting sucked up the chimney.
Yeah.
Kind of, it wasn't great CGI, but that was like the only time that they used CGI in the movie.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But as far as like the story, the writing, the directing, the acting and everything goes,
It was a really
excellent movie. It was a
Yeah.
very good movie. It definitely deserves higher than a 7.1. That was
I
so
agree.
good.
As
David
well.
Harbour did such an amazing job. Okay, so do you have anything you want to talk about before we get into fear facts and stuff?
It was definitely a movie that could keep your attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't get bored or anything.
No. Because it was one thing after another. And it was very action packed.
Yeah, there wasn't too many scenes that wasn't action packed that didn't keep your attention. As like when he was talking to Trudy, he was giving her like a sentimental message
Yeah.
and like telling her that, you know, she needs to kind of forgive her family, and like she gave him a message in some of the scenes without action, and was like, "You brought my ho 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 back," which I thought was
Yeah.
a funny line too.
Yeah, that was cute. I like that Trudy made him like want to be Santa again.
Yeah,
Or
'cause, I mean,
enjoy it. You
at the
know?
beginning of the movie, he said that this is probably his last year doing Santa.
Yeah.
No more Christmas.
No more Christmas.
Because you know, she's
Yep.
or he
think
said how kids are
Ungrateful.
unappreciative,
Yeah.
ungrateful. And
I think
stuff.
she brought it back.
Yeah, she did for sure.
She was super cute too.
Yeah, she was
She's
really
really
funny.
cute.
She was
I liked
very
her.
funny actually. Some of the she wanted
She
to
said butthole.
yeah, and shove it right up their ass. He goes, "Well, that's kind of gonna get you on the naughty list." She goes, "Can I say butthole?" He's like, "That's borderline." Okay, then anus. And he goes, "Technically, yes, that's
Yeah.
the true word." I just thought that the interaction between Santa and Trudy was
It was really
perfect.
cute.
It was
Yeah.
very funny, very good. He did an excellent job with her. What else you got?
That's all I got.
Okay, with that then we'll move into the fear facts that I have. This movie, Violent Night, was written by the same people who were responsible for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that just came out a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Yep. Same people.
Cool.
The saint that Santa was based on, Saint Nicholas, was famous for a fight at the Council of Nicaea. I think that's how you say it. Before he like became, you know, Santa and stuff. So I guess the backstory of this Santa was actually like based on like real life happenings, I guess you could say, because the Saint Nicholas of that we tell the story, he goes to people's houses and stuff, was actually famous for a big battle. So
That's pretty interesting. I
That's
didn't
pretty
know
cool.
that. Yeah.
there was a scene where Scrooge asked Santa while he was like taking out mercenaries and stuff, when he was talking to him on the walkie-talkie, he asked Santa if he's a cop with 5 kids, if he's really like a cop with five kids somewhere. Is that why he's like so good at taking people out or whatever?
Yeah.
That was his callback to Stranger Things,
Oh.
because Hopper's a cop with
Yep,
5 kids.
That makes sense. I didn't even notice they said that.
Yeah,
That's so
he
funny.
he asked him on the walkie-talkie. He's like talking to him. He's like, "Are you just some cop with 5 kids at home, waiting for you to get home, or something
Yeah.
like that?" And it was just a callback to
Yeah,
Stranger Things,
that's
which was
so funny.
kind of funny. Shooting for this movie went from January to March of 2022, apparently.
Oh, Oh, really?
What I could look, there weren't too many facts that I could look up for this movie because it's obviously 2 or 3 days old or something. As far as I could tell, it only took a few months of, I guess, this year to make, from what
That's
I heard.
crazy.
It is, if that's true. I think they might have misspelled and it was like 2021 and they spent like a year trying to get the special effects or whatever, but
If they did it, that's crazy.
I know,
If
isn't
it was
it?
this year, yeah, for sure.
This film was projected to make $10 million from 3,200 theaters, and it made 4.9 in its first day.
Oh, wow.
In its first day of being out, it made half of what it
Yeah.
projected to make. That's
Pretty good.
pretty good. I'm glad that people, wanted
Went
to
out
see
to
this
see it,
movie
yeah.
because this was a very good movie. Plus, David Harbour.
Obviously.
You obviously want to see him.
Yeah. I know a lot of people wanted to see it.
David Harbour lost 34 pounds for Stranger Things, season 4, and then as soon as that was over, he trained himself to exhaustion for this movie.
Oh,
Because
wow.
he had to have some muscles, obviously, for the scenes where you saw him in the battle and stuff, but he also had to swing a big hammer, like a sledgehammer around.
Yeah.
So he would actually, train himself to, exhaustion, to where he would go home at 5:30 p.m. and just, pass out.
Oh, wow.
He was just so tired from training and
Yeah.
doing this movie and whatnot. So it was obvious that he actually cared.
Oh, yeah.
He cared about this role.
I think you can always tell with him that he cares about his roles.
I also read somewhere, I didn't really think it was a fear factor or anything. I heard that he was actually one of the first people they wanted to be Santa,
Yeah.
I guess, which was
Understandably so.
amazing
Yeah.
choice. Stuff that I really did like about this movie, like I said earlier, was the writing, the acting, and the story. It was a well-written, very good story, and they took aspects of real life Santa and mixed it into kind of their own story of Santa, and gave him that flashback past, which was extremely very
yeah,
cool.
that was really cool. I like that they did that.
I thought that they wrote really, really well for this story. And the actors in it were amazing. Obviously, David Harbour's amazing, but I really like the guy who was Scrooge. He's
Yeah.
in the John Wick movies and stuff.
Uh-huh.
He's a very good actor. The rich mom, or
Yeah, I like
grandma,
her.
I guess you could call her.
Yeah.
She's a very good actress. And all the rest of them, the family, weren't that bad. Krampus. The guy who played Krampus was very funny.
Yeah.
Even though he
He's
was a
really
bad
funny,
guy, he
yeah.
was very funny. He was like, "Oh, I have an idea. Let's open your presents because you might not live till tomorrow to see them."
Yeah.
I
He
thought
said,
that
I
was
want to see what you rich assholes get.
Yeah, I thought he was really funny. But they did a very good job in this movie. I liked the callbacks to Home Alone with the booby traps and her talking about Home Alone and stuff. I thought that those callbacks to the movie were really funny, and her setting them up and kind of making it Home Alone inspired parts of this movie was very, very cool. I really liked the magic where he would touch his nose and he would just shot right up the chimney. I thought that they did that really well. I thought they did the Santa's body disappearing really well and up the chimney really well. I thought that whole magic thing was really cool. I also thought it was really funny that he was just out front I don't even know how it works either.
Yeah.
This is a complete
He's just
mystery to
this
me.
Is just what I do.
This is just what I do. They
Yeah.
told me how to do it and I do it. I just don't ask questions. I thought that was
Exactly.
really cool. I thought that they did this movie very, very well.
Yeah, I thought so too. I really liked it.
It was definitely a movie that everyone should go see. So if you're listening to this and you were kind of thinking about go see it. Definitely go see it. It would be cool to see it before it comes out of theaters. Or if you're waiting to stream it on the first day it comes out, because this is a very good movie. It's not the best movie in the world, but it was a very good watch to watch at Christmas.
Yeah.
Definitely if you like horror, gory kind of action movies, this is definitely one of them. I heard a lot of people describing it as Santa Claus if he was John Wick, and that's
Perfect.
a very good representation of this movie. It's just John Wick with a hammer if he was Santa.
Yep. That was perfectly described. for
Exactly.
sure.
Do you have anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I just really liked it, and I think everyone should go watch it.
I agree with you. Came out December 2nd, and it made $4.9 million on December 2nd when it came out, including the $1.1 million it made on Thursday early release tickets. I'm glad that this movie's doing so well,
Yeah,
because it
I am
definitely
too.
deserves it.
I am too. It deserves the hype.
Plus, I think they did the right thing of picking David Harbour, because everyone loves David Harbour.
yeah.
And I know that I know the Black Widow is a pretty popular part of Marvel, but I think David Harbour being announced that he was in Black Widow kind of made a lot more people go see it.
I honestly was more excited to see this movie because he was in it.
Exactly. I'm sure there's a lot of people. I also was very excited to see it because he was in it. I feel like a lot of people were excited because he was in it. So I think they went the right way getting David Harbour to do it. And I'm glad that he was so serious about the role too, because he usually is, yeah, but he did a fantastic job. So if you guys want to go see it and you listen to this before, you know, go and see it. Hopefully it didn't spoil too much of the movie, but it was an excellent movie that everyone should go see.
Agreed, for sure.
All right, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, that's all we got. So next week we're going to do the episode of our first special guest and Nightmare Before Christmas. We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you until the episode comes out who it is, because this is our first guest. It'll be more fun just to wait.
Yeah.
But after this first guest, we'll start telling you who it is, if anyone is interested. But we're gonna enjoy. We might ask some questions, do a little quiz for the special guest, see if this guest will pass our quiz.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure, but
just for funsies, just for shits and gigs.
Most of the episode's probably just going to be our guest talking. We'll probably talk as little as possible just to get our guest insight to the movie, ask her questions, stuff like that. But for Christmas, it might actually be longer than half hour, 36 minutes or whatever. It's probably kind of hoping it might be like close to an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably turn into that with 3 of us, I guess.
Yeah, so it'll probably be a more fun episode. So definitely check into that episode.
Check it out.
But we really enjoyed this movie. I gave it an 8.5. She gave it an 8.5. Go see Violent Night.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Catch you later.